Hey guys, Rayte here with another Pokemon challenge. Today we are back in Hoenn, Sapphire version to be exact. We are going to see if we can beat this game with just a Swablu. Now, quick disclaimer, I misremembered this guy's typing when I first thought of doing this challenge. I originally thought that Swablu was part Dragonfly, and since its evolved form, Altaria is. But as you can see now on the screen, it is actually normal flying type, kind of like the birds we normally see at the start of these games across multiple generations. Which does have some perks. I mean, we do have immunity against ground and ghost moves, so that's nice. Resistance to bug and grass is nice too, but those types don't really apply as much, I feel like, in Generation 3 games. Still, these resistances and immunities are nice when you compare them to what we are working with in our previous challenge with Swinub. Weaknesses though are going to be a bit rough, especially when it comes to early gym badge play in this challenge. We are weak to rock, electric, and ice, and I feel like these types are more prevalent in this region than the types that we actually resist. But moving on from that, we need to take our stats into consideration. A base stat total of 310 means we are first form starter levels here, but looking at the spread, this is a rough distribution. Now, to be fair, I feel like this is our first challenge in a while, if not ever, where both of our defense stats are our strong points. I'm not used to that, and it might be a nice change of pace when it comes to grinding and battling. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because it's not like these defense stats are amazing, and to add insult to injury, we're not sporting the best HP, so we can still go down quickly. Also, I tend to lean forward, being heavier on offense, so this transition might be a little difficult for me. When it comes to firepower, our moveset is pretty bland. There's only one hard-hitting move, and that's Takedown, which I don't like since the recoil damage is bad with our HP. That means the team list really needs to help us out here. Luckily, we have some good options: Ice Beam, Aerial Ace, Steel Wing, Fly, Solar Beam, maybe. This could really help. I feel like this is going to be a rough start, but I'd like to think things will get easier as we progress for the most part. So let's get started. But first, let's go over the rules real quick. I will only be using Swablu throughout the whole challenge, but I can still use other Pokemon for HMs to progress. No cheats, glitches, or hacks to advance, and I will be sticking with the trend where I won't be using any items in battle, only held items given to our team before the battle starts. So we are now in front of Professor Birch's satchel, and we need to get our Swablu to start this challenge. I used the Pokemon Randomizer to replace the Fire-type bird Pokemon Torchic with the normal flying Swablu. This is because I feel like Mudkip's line will be the biggest challenge for us. In our first battle against Poochyena, we just have Peck to attack with, but it is hitting pretty hard. So hard that I don't really know why I'm talking about this battle. Once we get to the lab, we accept our Swablu and we nickname her Cadbury, because she looks like a Cadbury egg. And if you don't see it, this should help. Anyway, Cadbury's ability is Natural Cure, which sounds like a wonderful ability to have since it can cure Swablu of status conditions. The hitch though is that for this ability to activate, we need to switch Swablu out. And since we are pretending that Swablu is the only Pokemon we have in battle, yes, we will have other Pokemon for HM use, but in battle we act like they're not there. It would essentially be cheating to switch out just to heal. Other than that, our stats are looking about how we would expect them to, and we just have Peck and Growl in our moveset at the moment. Cadbury's nature is gentle, which means raised special defense and lowered defense, which I'm not thrilled about. We don't really need help boosting special defense, and I would much rather have improved attack. Anyway, we head north to battle our rival for the first time. Just like the Poochyena battle, there isn't much to report. Peck is once again outpacing our opponent's tackle, and we easily wrap up this battle from there. Which is a good thing since we can officially get going on this challenge, and we have a lot of work to do at the start. Most of you already know why I'm hurrying to make progress, but for those of you who are not too familiar with Generation 3, the first gym badge we need to get comes from the Rock Gym, and that type is one of our weaknesses. Not like that, but this isn't like Generation 1 Rock Gym, where they don't actually have a single rock move in the whole battle. Roxanne, the gym leader, will actually use rock-type moves, especially the dreaded Rock Tomb, which will spell our end quickly if we are not careful. So yeah, I could talk about other things like helping Wally catch a Ralts, but we see that in every Hoenn challenge, and there really isn't much else to talk about as we go from Petalburg to Rustboro. So we really should just talk about battling Roxanne. Real quick, in between that previous scene and the scene you are currently watching on my first attempt, yes, first attempt, come on, did you really think I was going to win on the first try against Roxanne? We got 2 more moves added to our moveset, Astonish and Sing. And these moves can be useful. Sleep is always useful to stall our opponent, and Astonish might not be the strongest ghost move, but it is a ghost move, so Roxanne's team will not resist it. That and it causes flinching, which again is great for stalling. But I'm just going to cut to the chase and tell you all that these new additions are not really making this battle easier. For starters, Sing misses a ton. I forgot that this thing is stuck with 55% accuracy, which is horrible when it comes to early game Pokemon moves. And it really felt like this thing was working with like 30% accuracy. And Astonish is really weak. Now, don't get me wrong, it's stronger than Peck, and it is clearly the best move we have, but as you can see, our best move still puts us seriously behind when it comes to damage output, thanks to our vulnerability to our opponent's Rock Throw and Rock Tomb. We're starting this gym battle at level 17, which is technically a level lead, but it's not a very big one. Multiple losses make this painfully obvious, so grinding is going to happen. Which I did expect. The plan was to get to level 25, but once we moved up one level to 18, we got the opportunity to learn Fury Attack. Not the best move, again, it's weak and doesn't have perfect accuracy, but it hits multiple times per turn. Technically, it could do twice the damage Peck would if we get a lucky roll. At this point, I was willing to take a chance and see if this move will give us a shot at beating Roxanne. The only problem is, I really struggled to figure out which move to give up. Ultimately, I decided to drop Astonish, which might have been kind of stupid considering I just said it was our best move for this battle. But I was also thinking about what we had ahead of us after Roxanne, and we would still benefit from keeping a flying type move long term. I also had a hard time giving up Growl and Sing because even though it wasn't the most dependable strategy, in most of my failed attempts, I would try to put Geodude to sleep with Sing and then spam Growl for a few turns to lower its attack, so it couldn't hurt us as badly. We had terrible sleep luck in these attempts, so, like I said, this strategy rarely paid off, but I wasn't ready to drop it just yet. Now, I'll be honest, I was bummed that we lost the ability to flinch our opponent when we gave up Astonish, but we were able to address this shortcoming soon enough thanks to the army of Zigzagoons we have in our party. I knew it was a long shot, but I was hoping that while we were grinding, one of my Zigzagoons would pick up a specific item. Any guesses which item I was looking for? If you guessed King's Rock, you were right, and luckily for us, one of my Zigzagoons delivered. We found one and immediately gave it to Cadbury. Now she has a 15% chance of causing our opponent to flinch with any physical contact move. Here's hoping the level ups, Fury Attack, and a small flinch chance will be just enough to finally give us this first badge. Well, we revisit this battle level 20 and things are not getting much better. I did change the plan a little bit by focusing on putting Geodude to sleep with Sing, then spamming Fury Attack. Yeah, the damage output is still extremely underwhelming, and when Geodude wakes up, it's still hard to get it back to sleep. While we waste time trying to do that, we keep taking full strength Rock Tomb since we didn't bother using Growl on this attempt. We go down in no time, and we see the same result on the next try, but this time we try using Growl. The problem is, no matter what we do, whether we lower our opponent's attack stat, or try to deal damage, we always fall behind in the arms race, or in this case, the wings race. This start is really causing me to lose motivation, and I know we don't really have a choice but to grind for more levels if we want to win this battle at the moment. But I don't feel like grinding. I know we most likely have not maxed out on EVs, and I usually save these for the Elite Four, but we have amassed a lot of rare candies from our Zigzagoons while grinding. So I said screw it and raised Cadbury 5 more levels to level 25. This doesn't help much. We then give everything a go at level 30 thanks to some more rare candies. Still losing, and we're not really seeing any signs of improvement, but I did hatch an idea at this level. It might have been due to the fact that I was frustrated with how pitiful our offense has been in this part of the challenge, and I was desperately grasping at straws for anything that could change that, but I decided to give Struggle a try. I mean, it's typeless, so none of Roxanne's Pokemon can resist it. Yes, this does mean that we have to battle a whole bunch of odd Pokemon so we can lose all of our power points and actually use Struggle. Which takes a while. I mean, we have 40 power points just for Growl alone. Luckily for us, we also have acquired a lot of super potions from the Zigzagoons, so we don't have to worry about our health being low for the actual battle with Roxanne. Now, we are seeing some results. There really isn't much to narrate when it comes to a battle where all we can do is spam Struggle. The important points are that we are hitting harder, and honestly, the recoil damage isn't hurting us too much. Things are looking very promising, and this is the best we've ever looked when we get to Nose Pass. But we are still losing. Now, we did solve the issue we had with our offense, but with this spam struggle plan, we put ourselves in a situation where we can't block or stall our opponents in any capacity. Both Geodude and Nosepass have moves that raise their defense, they slowly take us down with Rock Tomb, and Roxanne has a couple of potions to burn in this battle. All of this plus the recoil damage we take each turn leaves us losing somewhere in our face-off with Nosepass. Again, I know I sound like a broken record here, but we tried the strategy at level 30 multiple times and we lose each time. We're running low on rare candies, but I'm still going to use them if we got them. And this leads to another breakthrough. I wasn't paying attention, but we are now at level 31, and that means Cadbury can learn Takedown, which, when you think about it, is basically just struggle, but stronger. Please, please tell me this is what we need to actually win this stupid battle. Well, we lost the first attempt because of horrible luck trying to get Geodude to fall asleep, but we don't give up and we try again. This time Sing lands on the first try. We switch to offense with Takedown, which brings Geodude down in 2 turns. Nose passes up and we repeat the plan. Again, Sing works on the first try. Takedown doesn't hit as hard here and Nosepass wakes up on the next turn. We take a Rock Tomb and then we put it back to sleep. Takedown brings Nosepass to yellow health, but that's short-lived thanks to a potion. We get it back to yellow on the next turn with another Takedown, and another one pushes it into the red. Roxanne uses another potion, but it doesn't matter. Nosepass never wakes up. Takedown knocks out Roxanne's last Pokemon in 2 turns. I am on page 6 of the script, and we finally got our first badge of the challenge. Which means this is, I think, the first challenge where the first gym truly stalled us, and we are going to be at an absurdly high level for a good portion of the first half of the game. That was weird. Anyway, since we are at a high level now, and we wasted a lot of time getting just one badge, I'm going to try to quickly move through the next few important story points so we can catch up time-wise. Besides, there really isn't much to talk about in the next few events, especially since we are basically overpowering our opponents with this level lead. So yeah, we get to Dewford, and we usually go through the ordeal of giving Steven that letter in that cave. I don't remember the name of the cave, it's not important. Instead, as soon as we land, we head straight to battling Brawly. The typing for this gym actually gives us the advantage, so this battle should be a piece of cake. And it was. This wasn't a complete one-shot on Brawly's Machop, but Peck comes close. Brawly does drag the battle out with super potions, but there really isn't nothing he can do to put us in danger. And when it comes to Makihita, it goes down in 1 peck. So yeah, easy win, and a complete 180 from how we beat Roxanne. Sickened with the faster pacing, since I'm only going to cover the important stuff here, we head straight to Stephen to deliver the letter, then to Slateport, battling Team Aqua while we are there, and immediately heading north to Mauville. But more importantly, we have another rival battle to talk about. Since I was in a hurry, I did forget to heal before jumping into this battle. Surely that won't bite me in the butt. Peck was really close to one-shotting Shroomish, but it falls just a little short. We did get a flinch though, so that was good, which leads to us immediately following up with another Peck to take out our rival's first Pokemon. One tiny problem though. We activated Shroomish's Effect Spore on the next turn and we fall asleep in the process. Numel is now out, and yeah, we stay asleep for several turns. We take Growl and some Embers while we can't respond. We are still in the green when we wake up, but after the takedown we just used to almost one-shot Numel, we are now in yellow thanks to the recoil damage. And since Numel survived our attack, it gets the chance to get one more Ember out, which of course burns us. Peck takes out Numel, but now we are in red health from the burn damage. We are in bad shape when Marshtomp comes out. I take a risk with Takedown, but with Ember and Growl tacked on, it hardly does anything, and we easily go down from a water gun. Okay, that was some bad luck. Let's try this again. Peck is still a solid move for Shroomish, but it's still not a one-shot, and the stats conditions keep coming as we get paralyzed from Stun Spore. We then take a weak tackle, and Shroomish goes down shortly after that. Numel's Ember barely hurts us, and since our attack isn't hampered, our takedown actually deals a one-shot here. Now we just have to see how well we do against Marshtomp. It sets up a bide, which can be scary, but our bad luck actually saved us here. And that's because our first takedown we can't use because we can't move due to paralysis, and on our second attempt, the move just flat out misses. Once Marshtomp's bide fails, we are able to get a takedown to land, and this attack is performing much better than it did in our last battle. The water gun might be a critical hit, but it really didn't do much, and our next takedown officially gives us the win. From here, we can move on to Mauville, and more importantly to Watson. Now, the usual viewer of my Generation 3 videos knows this is often a major roadblock when I do these challenges, and this video is no exception considering we are part flying type. But I think our level lead might be enough to save us here. We will have a Cherry Berry to deal with paralysis, and outside of that, my strategy going into this fight is a boring one. But I'm just going to spam takedown and hope for the best. Let's see how far this will take us. Well, it's not bad, but it's also not great. Magnemite goes down in 2 takedowns. It paralyzes us with Thunder Wave in the middle of those, but our berry gets rid of that. Voltorb doesn't have a steel typing to help its defense, so 1 takedown makes a quick knockout. But Magneton is where we start having problems, and that probably doesn't surprise anyone. Magneton paralyzes us for good right out of the gate, and since we are weak to electric moves, we go down quickly from there. Let's give this another go. This attempt actually goes way more poorly than the previous one. The big takeaway here is that our takedown is actually in a damage range when it comes to Magnemite. It survives the second one with just a sliver of health, gets a heal up from a super potion, and we are in a bad spot by being paralyzed permanently for the rest of the battle. Bad luck keeps stacking up by this point as well. Takedown misses, we get confused by Supersonic, and paralysis is also preventing us from doing anything useful on these turns. We do get a critical hit eventually to take Magnemite out of the fight, but do you really think I can pull off a win here? Voltorb answers that rhetorical question for us. I'm not going to give you a play-by-play for every attempt, I'm only talking about the third one because this one goes much better. We are at half health by the time we get to Magneton. Sing uncharacteristically doesn't miss, and we get a lot of work done while it is asleep. But with it only having a sliver of health, Magneton wakes up and takes us down with a shockwave. Now, I did take that loss as a small victory, but that was really naive of me, because in this attempt, Watson still had healing items saved up. So even if we did survive that shockwave on that turn, Watson would absolutely be healing Magneton up on the next turn, and we would be too beaten up to continue using takedown as a strategy for the win. Magneton would outlast us easily, and we would be losing no matter what. And this whole assumption was confirmed when I revisited this battle after getting Cadbury to level 35, thinking these 2 levels would have just enough added attack to get us over the hump and finish Magnemite and Magneton before Watson healed up. Yeah, I knew that was a long shot, but I still gave the battle a couple of attempts at this level. So more grinding, and I was thinking that maybe I should bring our high level Pokemon to a higher but nice and even level 40. But by the time we got Cadbury to level 38, we got the opportunity to learn Mirror Move, and this was another instance of me being a little stupid. I knew electric attacks were not offensive against steel types, but my brain was more focused on using our opponent's Sonic Boom against them so we can deal consistent 20 damage hits. But as you can tell from the footage, I don't use this move a lot and I totally misremembered how this move works. I went through the trouble of taking a Sonic Boom from Voltorb and used Mirror Move right after it. Now this version of Redite that you are currently watching thought that using Mirror Move here meant that we would have an attack like Sonic Boom for the remainder of the battle until we use Mirror Move after another attack. But I was going to not let that happen by putting Magneton to sleep and then just spamming Sonic Boom until it goes down. But that's not how this move works at all. Mirror Move is really just a one-off. It will copy the attack you just took on that turn, and there's no memory of that move later on in the battle. Good to know, and we have to take this attempt as another loss. Sticking with level 38 at this battle for the moment, we can confidently take Magnemite out in 2 turns at this level. And of course, Voltorb is still a one-shot. Magneton is what you guys really care about. Sing continues coming in clutch by landing on the first attempt. And yeah, takedown is still the best option we have. It takes 3 of them to take Magneton to red health, and we have Deja Vu with Magneton waking up and hitting us with a shockwave. We survive it in yellow health. Now, Watson breaks out a super potion. Good, we got single land. Magneton is not at full health after the heal up, so that helps us. A couple of takedowns brings us to red health due to recoil damage, but we don't have a choice. We need to press on. And I think takedown might be strong enough to bring it down, but it's hard to gauge. Oh cool, it actually is strong enough. Okay, so Watson was still an issue in this challenge despite the solid level lead we just had against him. And don't get me wrong, the electric moves were scary and paralysis always sucks, But the one thing that really hurts us was the fact that we didn't have a response when it came to attacking steel types. And you know what? We won't really have an answer for steel types at all in this challenge. I hope that isn't foreshadowing something. But hey, we don't have time to worry about that. We have to do all that running around to move the Team Aqua story along, which means we have our first battle with Archie coming up. And this battle was actually harder than I thought. There are multiple factors leading to our loss in this battle. We are a 100% physical attacker, so Mighty Anna's Intimidate is stalling us offensively. Because of that, I go back to relying on Takedown, which means recoil damage can sneak up on us too. Mighty Anna likes to use Sand Attack early on in the battle, and Takedown already has a tendency to miss at times, so that slows us down too. Add all of this to getting confused sometimes from Golbat and Sharpedo's Rough Skin ability getting tacked on with our recoil damage, and you get us losing to Sharpedo every time. Now it does feel a little good knowing that we get to Archie's last Pokemon in each attempt, but it's still a hollow positive feeling when you ultimately lose every time. This should be possible at level 41 though, I would think. I mean, Mighty Anna is at level 24. Still, our attack is cut from Intimidate. Takedown is still hitting well, and I would rather take a bite than a Sand Attack here. Mighty Anna does go down and our accuracy isn't affected. Golbat is only annoying if it uses Supersonic, which it does try to use, but we get fortunate with it missing. So Golbat goes down without us taking any damage, except for, well, the recoil damage. You know what I mean. We're looking good here, still being in the green by the time Sharpedo comes out, and for whatever reason, my brain got the idea to use Peck here as the opening move. Might not look like much, but my idea pays off. Peck lowers Sharpedo's health just enough for us to use one takedown for the knockout. We can now get back to the badge run, which is what I really care about when it comes to this challenge. Flannery is the Fire-type gym leader, and there really isn't much to talk about here since there's no type advantage between either of us, and we are still rocking a good level lead. So let's just get this started and see how things really shake out. I'm getting sick of all the takedown spamming, and that goes doubly when it comes to the recoil damage, so I decide to see how far Peck takes us when it comes to Slugma. It takes our opponent to almost half health. Slugma sets up a Sunny Day, and we begrudgingly go back to Takedown to knock out our opponent's first Pokemon. Same story with the second Slugma too. Torkoal is going to be harder to gauge. It does take Takedown better. The Sunny Day is active, which makes Overheat dangerous. I'm glad we're still standing in yellow health after that hit. To save on health, and because I was curious, I had Cadbury use Mirror Move so we can use Overheat on Torkoal. I mean, Sunny Day is active, so that would help, right? Meh. About as much as I was expecting. I know Torkoal would resist it, but I was still curious. Our special attack stat dropped, but that doesn't really mean a thing for us. What is really important here is that Torkoal's next Overheat missed, followed by Sunny Day fading, meaning Torkoal is now weaker. That's kind of neither here nor there, since we get one more takedown to secure our second first try victory against a gym leader in this challenge. We are going to keep this little bit of momentum going by heading back to Petalburg so we can fight our dad. Again, another matchup where type advantages don't really matter, and he could be scary with Slaking, but I think we are going to be okay. We are actually not okay. Slaking is scary and is a problem. Takedown is our best move, and it can't even bring our opponent, who is 15 levels lower than us, mind you, to yellow health. I mean, we are not evolved, and Slaking has really good stats, so we probably shouldn't be too surprised. Slaking likes to open with Yawn, and I quickly thought of a great response to this move. I immediately had Cadbury switch to using Mirror Move so we could send a Yawn back to Slaking. We fall asleep first, but Slaking is right behind us and dozing off. We usually wake up first, and we can resume attacking, but Takedown is still lackluster, and recoil damage is still not ideal. Slaking wakes up soon enough anyway and continues using Yawn on us, which means we repeat our Mirror Move strategy. This really drags out the battle, and what makes this even worse is we can't take Slaking out consistently. We often get it to red health, which just means Norma is going to heal it up, again drawing out the battle. We can sometimes beat Slaking, but we are pretty beat up in the process, and that's mainly due to a combination of Facade and our own takedown, which ultimately means we are in the perfect position for Vigoroth to land a chip shot knockout on us. I didn't give this battle a whole lot of attempts in this current setting. I had been meaning to see if another move could give us the advantage in this battle and other battles we are going to have in this challenge. We have the team for Steel Wing, and I felt like now was the time to give it a try. It is not quite as strong as Takedown, but it does have more power than our other attacks, and taking recoil damage out of the equation could give us enough of a lead to get the win. But the move is falling flat in a way. I'm not surprised that it is not hitting as hard as Takedown, but honestly, I didn't think it would be that much weaker. We are still able to beat the first slacking though, but it doesn't really make a difference since we are in the same spot we were last time against Vigoroth, so this is another loss. Still, I am determined to see if we have any other TM options that could spell victory for us. We didn't have anything at the moment, so I decided to backtrack to talk to the guy north of the desert, which gives us a TM for secret power. Another solid move when it comes to power, it is stab for us, and in gym battle situations, we have a small chance to paralyze, which is always helpful. Our new move is hitting harder, but we are still falling short of taking slacking out before Norman heals it up. We did get paralysis to stick, but it didn't really matter. Facade was too much for us, and we went down. I felt like secret power had to be the key to getting this win, so I pressed on, but Slacking beat us in 3 or 4 more attempts. So I had to admit it, I could deny it no longer. Our level was too small, which is ridiculous when you see the level lead. But I didn't really have a choice, so after spending some time in the desert, we now have Cadbury at level 50. The only stat we have at the moment that is in the triple digits is our special defense, which is great, but it doesn't really apply to our current gem hurdle. And actually, it won't actually apply to Winona much either. Everything else is looking more depressing, and I really wish we had better attack stats, but I feel like I should be grateful that this challenge centers around a Pokemon that is more defense heavy. We don't get a lot of challenges that deal with stats leaning in this direction, and it's nice knowing that we can take hits better than some other Pokemon we have used in the past. Facing our dad at this level is showing some signs of progress. It does help that our first secret power causes paralysis on the first go, and I know things are not looking that good considering the first attack we take brings us to half health, but trust the process. I give Slacking a taste of its own medicine by mirror moving a Facade, putting Slacking in a worse spot than we are, but not bad enough where Norman decides to heal up. Another secret power takes out the first Slacking. We stick with that move and it does great by taking Vigoroth to half health. His slash is not a crit, so we are still in yellow when Vigoroth goes down on the next turn. Second Slacking is then sent out, and this is where we hope our dad makes bad decisions to give us the win. Yep, there it is, Focus Punch. Slacking starts up the move, and as long as we deal damage on this turn, Slacking loses its focus and the move will miss. Which obviously we have been dealing attacking moves on every turn of this battle, so of course we have no trouble disrupting Focus Punch. 2 secret powers also bring Slacking to about the same spot we are health-wise. Slacking though is just loafing around thinking Focus Punch will hit, so we just deal a critical hit secret power to finally get the win over our father. We did get lucky with the critical hit, but we would have won eventually anyway. The second Slacking is often the easiest part of this battle, and I'd like to think that the next few legs of this journey are going to be easy as well since we are walking into them being at level 50. Quick note though, I did take the long way around to Fortree City by surfing south of Petalburg so we could stop by the abandoned ship. Some of you might know why I decided to do this, but still, we get back on track in no time and we are soon in the Weather Institute facing Team Aqua. They are not really worth talking about here. I did fight all of them though for the experience because this video has been me getting cocky due to the false confidence from our level lead. I've stated multiple times in this video that we should be able to coast and sweep a large portion of the storyline due to how far ahead we are in levels. But look how many times we have struggled against opponents that have had Pokemon 10, 15, 20 levels lower than us. We have been underperforming a lot in this challenge, so just to be safe, I'm going to battle opponents we come across just for extra insurance. That being said, I don't think we really need to worry about our rival at this point, right? Well, in typical bad luck fashion, plus our surprisingly crappy attack stat, our rival Shroomish, which is 25 levels lower than us, survives our super effective peck with an almost invisible sliver, which leads to us getting poisoned from poison powder. We do take our rival's first Pokemon out on the next turn, but this is a great start. Numel is next and we one-shot it with Secret Power. I probably should have just ignored the type advantages and gone with Secret Power when it came to Shroomish too. That would have been a one-shot, I bet. Anyway, Marshtomp. It can withstand a Secret Power, but Paralysis gets tacked on, preventing it from attacking, so we take it out from there. Okay, moving forward from that, we have another gym battle waiting for us. Winona is the flying type leader. This is once again another battle where type advantages don't really play a part in getting the win. That being said, Skarmory is going to stall and will most likely be our biggest obstacle in getting this win. Swallow though is annoying because it likes to use double team, and we're struggling some here to get an attack to land while Swallow is doing just fine hitting us with Aerial Ace, since it doesn't miss. Now when Secret Power does land, it does a great job dealing damage. Winona heals up, but we are still looking good damage output wise. Plus paralysis is still a thing since this is an indoor gym battle. By this point I noticed that Swallow's last attack was still Aerial Ace, so I used the mirror move so we could confidently take out Swallow on the next turn. Pelipper is not much of a threat, especially with its supersonic missing. 2 secret powers take it down, and now we have to deal with the real threat of this battle, Skarmory. Secret power probably only takes a 6 of its health out in damage. We really need a paralysis to stall Skarmory. Oh, perfect. Sand attack though is not ideal. I went with mirror move so we could also lower Skarmory's accuracy, but our move missed. Oh, the irony. Steel Wing doesn't hurt that much, and I switched back to secret power. We take another sand attack and try to use mirror move again, but our sand attack missed again. From here, both Pokemon are just spamming their main attacking move, and for Skarmory, Steel Wing raised its defense, so we ultimately started falling behind when it came to damage output. To add insult to injury, Winona breaks out a Hyper Potion once Skarmory falls to red health. Yeah, we can't withstand this arms race. We go down. Actually, this is the real wings race. Back to giving a gym battle multiple attempts just to realize we are not ready for it. Luckily for us, there are a lot of trainers we can battle east of Fortree City, and that means we do rack up a lot of experience here. Plus, we progressed the Team Aqua storyline for this challenge. Once we defeated all the trainers leading to Lily Cove, I decided to revisit Winona. While making our way back to Fortree City, it dawned on me that maybe it was time to break out the new move I was planning to teach Cadbury at some point. The whole reason I went to the abandoned ship earlier was for the TM Ice Beam. Earlier in this challenge, I thought the timing was perfect considering we can't get it until we beat Norman. And since the next gym battle centers around flying types, using Ice Beam should be a no-brainer, right? Well, yes, technically on paper. But as this challenge rolled on, I noticed how horrible our special attack is. I mean, we did struggle taking out our rival Shroomish with a super effective stab peck, while having a sizable level lead in our previous battle against them. Now true, Peck is a weak move and Ice Beam is stronger, but our attack stat is better than our special attack, and with Ice Beam not being stab, I feel like this move is going to fall really flat on doing what it promises. But you know what, I am kinda desperate, so what do we have to lose? Okay, I was wrong. I can admit that. But before that, we wasted some time taking Swallow out due to, once again, double team. Takedown does one-shot it once it connects, and looking back, I should have just used Ice Beam here. I really have no idea why I was so adverse to this move at this point. Pelipper shares the same fate, once again from Takedown. Skarmory is out, and now we finally use Ice Beam. And it does much better than I was expecting. I am very surprised how hard this attack is hitting, especially since it's not super effective against Skarmory. But we take Skarmory out in 2 turns. I'll take it. Moving on. Which leaves our evolved form, Altaria. If Cadbury did evolve, which it won't, it would turn Dragon Flying, which means it would be 4 times weak to ice moves. Yeah, that was an obvious one-shot. Okay, maybe I really do suck at estimating how strong attacks are in this game. There is a science to it, well, there's at least math involved. I am sorry I doubted your special attack, Cadbury. Now, let's see how far your new move will take us in this run. We are now on the last rival battle of the game, and Ice Beam is still paving the way for us by one-shotting Swallow and Shroomish. Secret Power one-shots Numel, Marshtomp is the only Pokemon we don't one-shot, but it's still a quick knockout. So in typical last rival battle fashion, it was a real short fight. Which is great because I feel like the script is getting really long. We still have 2 more badges to get, beat the Elite Four and the Champion, plus all the events happening in between. So if you don't mind, I'm going to skip the whole portion of me complaining about the back and forth to move the Team Aqua portion along. Just know I did all that, battled every opponent in our way, and now we are in Moss Deep. We are going to do all the things we normally do here, making a Shell Bell, getting the HM for Dive, and catching a Whalmer for all the water HM purposes, but first we have to see how we look against Tate and Liza. Roxanne gave us so much trouble in the beginning of this challenge. Tay and Liza are psychic gym leaders, but both of their Pokemon are also part rock. But we have Ice Beam now. I hope it continues to surprise me here. Okay, this battle took several tries, and it all really boiled down to horrible hypnosis luck. Lunatone's attack never missed, and we stayed asleep long enough to get 2 being up for us to really do anything when we woke up. Ice Beam isn't doing as much as I was hoping as well. Nevertheless, we stick with it. Despite our setbacks in this battle, I stick with the plan we had the whole time, which is focusing on Lunatone more at the start. Ice Beam takes out about a quarter of its health. Solrock Psychic obviously one-shots Magikarp. Cadbury takes Lunatone's same attack much better. This is the point of the game where I'm really thankful for our special defense stat. Ice Beam lands again to take Lunatone into yellow health. Its Calm Mind will make things more interesting though. Solrock sets up a Sunny Day. Does that weaken ice moves? Anyway, we are sticking with Ice Beam, and this one lands as a critical hit strong enough to take Lunatone out for good. This was extremely fortunate since in the other attempts we often got Lunatone to low health, but that just meant Tay and Liza used a Hyper Potion on the next turn. But here we got lucky enough to avoid all that, and now it's a normal 1 vs 1 battle. Solrock is at full health by the time Lunatone faints, but we get extremely fortunate again by delivering another critical hit. Solrock is in the yellow, but I will gladly take it. A one-shot would be better, but if this thing were well into the red, then a heal up would be coming on the next turn for sure. We also fall into yellow from a flamethrower, but we are not scared. We get one more Ice Beam out to easily come out on top. It's amazing how much luck affected this battle. We got some bad hands on the first 2 attempts, but once the tides changed, that battle really wasn't that difficult. Also, our special defense really shined in this one, considering how well we took every hit that came our way. Now, I'm still trying to quickly wrap up this part of the game, so real quick, we were able to get half of the items needed for a Shell Bell, got the Super Rod, used it to catch a Whalmer, and then taught it Surf, Strength, and Dive, so we could wrap up our time with Team Aqua. I wish we had a Shell Bell at this point, and maybe I should have gotten some of the pieces before fighting Tay and Liza, but I think we can still make some progress without it. We have one more gym badge to get, but before that, we fight Archie one more time. Mightyena is out first, so decreased attack stat for the time being. Because of that, I decided to see how our only special attack does in this exchange. Not bad. We then get hit by Swagger, which means our attack stat is back to normal, if not better, but now we have Confusion to worry about. But we get lucky getting Secret Power to connect on the next turn, taking Mightyena out of the battle. Crobat is next, and Ice Beam is the way to go. Not a one-shot, and Archie does use a Super Potion, but Crobat doesn't make it out on the next turn, so now we just have to deal with Sharpedo. We are still confused, but we still have luck on our side. Secret Power lands and one-shots Archie's last Pokemon. Now we just need to fight Kyogre and then Wallace. Not to sound like a broken record, it's just the nature of this specific challenge, but there's not a whole lot of strategy I have planned going into this Wallace fight. That's just the way it is when you're using a normal flying type. That being said, I don't think he will be easy to beat. He has almost a full party and Melodic can still be a pain. We still don't have a Shell Bell for the extra healing on the side, but we are now in Satopolis, so we might as well give it a try. Love Disc is not a threat, but it would be nice to one-shot it. We fall short in doing that, and we take a weak Water Pulse. Wallace predictably heals up, and Ice Beam freezes our opponent. Which is great, don't get me wrong, but we take Love Disc out on the next attack. I wish we could have had that freeze guaranteed for another Pokemon in this battle. Celio is out next. Obviously Wallace is focusing on our weakness to ice moves. Aurora Beam isn't that scary though, and our Secret Power removes half of Celio's health. Another one knocks it out. I was expecting Wishcash next, but Wallace is still focused on hitting us hard with ice moves. Because of the strategy, Melodic actually comes out. Fly is good for dodging Ice Beam, and the damage output isn't bad either. But we do take the next Ice Beam Melodic sends out. We fall into yellow health, but we are taking that move better than I was expecting. But still, we should not get cocky here. We switch to Secret Power, which comes in clutch, paralyzing Melodic. Melodic was still able to use Recover, which is annoying, but it does mean another turn of no Ice Beam. Next turn did have an Ice Beam, and we are now in 12 health. And Frozen, so yeah, this is a loss. Second attempt went a similar way. We didn't get Frozen, but Melodic still finished us with Ice Beam. The third attempt was more surprising, mainly because just about when we were going to knock Love Disc out, Wallace randomly switched out for Melodic. Never saw that happen before. Melodic is still in the green after our Secret Power, and then we immediately take to skies with Fly. Melodic takes this as a free turn to heal up with Recover, Fly lands, and so does Ice Beam. I know it is kind of stupid to use this move here since the recoil damage does help Melodic take us down faster, but I stick with giving Takedown a try. And boy am I glad that I did, considering we get an amazing critical hit to bring Melodic down. It's just one surprise after another with this battle. Celio is now out and immediately falls to half health thanks to Secret Power. Word Beam then brings us into the yellow. Celio then goes down on the following turn, and now we are back to facing Love Disc. Real short interaction. Our opponent is not at full health and can't withstand a fly. Bring out Wishcash, and Ice Beam has some use here, but Wishcash starts his part of the battle with Amnesia, ruining Ice Beam's effectiveness in this battle. We switch to Secret Power, which paralyzes on the first try. Wishcash does use another Amnesia, and Wallace heals him right after. Secret Power is still a good move. We get 2 out to take our opponent to red health before we get hit by a Water Pulse. Yikes, 18 health after that being a critical hit is the opposite of ideal. But for now, we are still in this fight as we knock out Wishcash with one more Secret Power. But Sea King easily gives us the L soon after. Okay, although I am sure we could win after a bunch of attempts here, I don't want to waste my time. We could grind, but I think what we really need is the Shell Bell. We just need some extra healing here and there to last a little longer in this battle, and I am confident that we will come out on top. So I checked, and the tide was still too low in Shoal Cave for us to get the rest of the pieces we need to get the Shell Bell. That's unfortunate, but I decided to take a break and check the cave a little later to see if the tide is up. Which it actually takes a little while before that happens. I must have timed this whole thing terribly, and I didn't bother learning how to change the game clock to speed this along. But we do eventually get the other parts we need for the bell, and we give this to Cadbury before revisiting Wallace. We do lose the first attempt here, but that was all due to Melodic really drawing the battle out, and in the long run that spelled our end. But the second attempt went much better. Not the most ideal start though, with Secret Power failing to one-shot Love Disc, so we get confused from Sweet Kiss. Wallace uses a Hyper Potion soon after, and we hurt ourselves in confusion soon after. Good news, we snap out of confusion right away, we can Love Disc with an Ice Beam, freeze it, and finally deliver the knockout with Secret Power. Celio is next, and we stick with Secret Power. We get Paralysis to stick on our opponent this time, but it doesn't really help out much since we take an Aurora Beam and knock Celio out immediately after. Melodic gets hit with Secret Power as soon as it comes out. No Paralysis this time, which is the only place I really wanted to happen, since limiting Melodic's Ice Beams would really help us here. Another Secret Power brings Melodic to the red, but its Recover erases that. Small silver lining, but that wasn't a Hyper Potion. I want to hit harder, and I take the risk with Takedown. It does bring Melodic back to red health, but recoil damage brings us to half health. Oh, never mind, I love Shell Bell. It doesn't heal as much as Recover, but it is doing enough to keep us in this battle. Especially since every turn Melodic uses Recover is a turn that we can heal up without taking damage. That being said, we are losing the battle when it comes to our damage output versus Melodic's Recovers. But right when I admitted that we were going to be in this loop for a while, Melodic at yellow health switched the offensive with another Ice Beam. We survive in the yellow and are finally able to land a finishing Secret Power to move on. Wishcash is next, and we need to get some healing here if that is possible. Offensively, we switch to Ice Beam since it does neutral damage. Not great damage, but it still works, especially since it makes Wallace feel like he needs to use Amnesia to boost his Pokemon's special defense. This does help us heal, and since Wishcash has a heavily boosted special defense, we go physical with Secret Power. Another paralysis for our opponent. Wishcash does get an attack to land, but it hardly hurts us. Wallace uses a Hyper Potion, we heal up a little, and Secret Power follows in the next few turns. We handle another Water Pulse easily, and use Ice Beam to take us to Wallace's last Pokemon, Sea King. This thing can't take Secret Power as well as Wallace's other Pokemon. Rain Dance does speed Sea King up so it can outspeed us and use Water Pulse, but none of this strategy prevents us from dealing the winning blow on the next turn. Okay, so we're still keeping with the hurry up offense type of style when it comes to the flow of this video. I went into a lot of detail when it came to that last gym badge battle, but when it comes to the road to the Elite Four, there isn't much to talk about except the Wally fight. But first, we are going to talk about the Elite Four and Steven. I'm going to be honest with you all, this challenge has been much harder than I thought it would be. It doesn't help that I went into this challenge thinking Swablu was going to be part dragon and flying instead of normal flying, but still. With our correct typing, we are once again, for the 1 millionth time, not having any advantage or disadvantage when it comes to the last 5 battles we have in this challenge, except when it comes to Glacia. All that being said, I am extremely worried about her and Steven, especially since I was just talking to my brother-in-law and I realized that Aggron has Thunder, which can ruin us. Before that, I was really just worried about Metagross since we have no way to take it out quickly. Honestly, I don't know how we are supposed to beat this challenge below level 100. You can call me pessimistic, but this challenge has been way more difficult than I was imagining, and if I beat this challenge below level 100, then every person in the comments that says subscribe, I will follow and do any challenge video that they suggest. That is Pokemon challenge related, of course. Oh, I hope this doesn't bite me in the butt. Anyway, last battle with Wally, how did we do? Our evolved form is first out, and that does sound scary, but we have already beaten Winona, so the solution is pretty easy. Ice Beam. Easy one shot, moving on. Magneton is way more of a concern, but we are 20 plus levels higher than it. Still in the green from our first secret power, but a flinch helps a lot. Second one takes it to yellow and we get hit by Screech. Wally uses a super potion, but it doesn't fully heal Magneton. Takedown would be a great move to use here if it didn't miss. Second attempt lands and we get another Screech. Takedown did deal better damage, but it wasn't enough to really justify the recoil damage, so we switch back to secret power. Thunderbolt is scary, but we are still in the green. Secret Power brings our opponent's biggest threat into the red, and no Super Potion follows. Instead, it's another Thunderbolt. We are now in yellow health, but I'm not too concerned, since we are still able to bring Magneton down on the next turn. Still, we need to be cognizant of what is going on. Delcatty is next, and we use Fly to dodge its Sing. Bad news is Delcatty also dodges our Fly, so that feels like it was a waste. Delcatty tries Sing again, but to no avail. We do the same with Fly. This time, it does land, and Delcatty is now in yellow health. Still sticking with Fly, and once again, our Fly misses. What are the odds? Delcatty capitalizes on this turn by using a Feint Attack. Doesn't really do any damage, but still. Still using Fly here, and this one actually lands to deal a Feint. Jeez, that was bad odds. Let's hope we have better chance of putting Roselia away. Oh wait, Gardevoir. I really didn't see that coming. Secret Power does great work here. Wally uses another Super Potion, and once again, it is not at full health, which means we get to do 2 more Secret Powers to take out Wally's ace. Now we just have to answer Roselia. Obviously, we use Ice Beam here. Still not a one-shot though. We take a Magic Leaf like a champ though, so we really have nothing stopping us from getting the win here on the first try. Okay, I already talked about my thoughts and concerns when it comes to the Elite Four and Steven, so let's just take a quick look at our stats before getting into the last battles of the game. At level 70, we are rocking a wonderful special defense and a great defense. And offensively, we suck. We just suck. Okay, is this the worst attack stat we have ever seen? No. I need to be realistic about this, but again, I have kind of been procrastinating this part of the challenge by working on other projects relating to the channel. But no more, we are going to have a hard time with the endgame, but I had a good night seeing the Reds and FCC win their respective games, and I have enough motivation to tackle this ending head on. Let's do this. So I'm just going to go ahead and admit that we lost the first battle against Sidney to save on time. It took a little while to beat Mightyena, but we did get the better of him in the end. Cacturn was much easier to bring down, but with Intimidate and Conspore making us weaker and slower, Sharpedo was able to capitalize, confusing us with Swagger as soon as it comes out. And the confusion damage plus Surf took us out in rapid succession. Second try, and we still have to deal with the attack drop from Intimidate because there really isn't a way to get around it. Still sticking with the physical attacks though with Fly. We take a takedown, then both teams stick with their moves on the following turn. From there, we use Secret Power to bring down Mightyena. Cacturn follows just like last time, and we stick with Ice Beam just like last time. Sidney uses a full restore, but not before attacking us with Feint Attack. But this is just a stall, and our responding Ice Beam lands as a critical hit one-shot. Secret Power is still a solid move to use against Sharpedo. It almost takes it to half health, and it doesn't trigger its Rough Skin ability. History is still repeating itself, however, when we get confused by Swagger, hurting ourselves on the next turn, and then we take a Surf. This time around, we survive in yellow health, might I add. Thanks to the attack boost from Swagger and the fact we avoided confusion damage on the following turn, we are able to knock Sharpedo out on this turn. First time seeing Absol, and our powered up Secret Power comes really close to the one shot. Good news is Absol has a Citrus Berry, so it heals up into the yellow, which leads Sidney sticking with offense over healing. we snap out of confusion and easily take out Sidney's number 1 Pokemon. Shiftry is last out, and this guy could be annoying by stalling the battle with Double Team. But we only missed one of our Ice Beams, so in the end, that was a really easy way to end this fight. Okay, Sidney really wasn't too bad. Onward to Phoebe. Now getting past her took more attempts than it did to beat Sidney, and yes, part of the problem is the common hardship every normal type challenge has to deal with, trying to beat a ghost heavy team with a limited moveset due to having normal type moves. But that is not the real source of our downfall. Confuse Ray and Future Sight do add additional damage here and there, but the one move that really is destroying us is the second Dusclops Ice Beam. Now this attack is not a threat like in other challenges where it's threatening because it always deals the one shot. No, in this instance we actually take this move somewhat well. This move can freeze us and that sucks, but for the most part we're losing this battle because we slowly get outpaced from this move's damage output. We can't heal enough from Shell Bell or damage the second Dusclops to survive. If I remember right, we do knock this Dusclops out one time, but we are so weak that Bayonet destroys us on the next turn. Oh, and this might be a given, but I don't even entertain the idea of continuing the fight if Dusclops starts a curse on us. Now, obviously some changes need to be made if we want to win, and we do want to win. We still have a few rare candies left, so I did move us up one level to 72. I know that's not a big enough change, so I also changed our moveset. Takedown has been great and hard hitting, but I feel like for the rest of the challenge we cannot afford the recoil damage. So instead of going into this fight with Takedown, we will have Aerial Ace. So we have another move that will work on Ghost. And it won't miss. These two changes seem to be a step in the right direction, but it is not enough. I revisit this battle at level 75 and 77, and not much changes. We need more help than this. After some more work, we are facing Phoebe at level 80. Aerial Ace almost takes the first Dusclops to half health, and we then get confused. We are still able to get Fly to work, but it falls short and bring in the Feint. Phoebe uses a full restore, and we confidently use an Aerial Ace since we snapped out of confusion. Future Sight doesn't hurt too much, and we get another Fly to land. Okay, we have another Future Sight to worry about, but Dusclops is now down. Second Dusclops is next. Aerial Ace is a little weaker now. Confuse Ray is tiresome, especially since we just took another Future Sight. Especially since it interrupts our Fly by us hurting ourselves. First Ice Beam, but we are still in the green despite everything that just happened. We snap out of confusion at the perfect time, so we do get a Fly to actually land. This leads to Dusclops, Citrus Berry, healing some. I thought Aerial Ace would be strong enough to knock out this Dusclops. It's not. We are on yellow health, and I thought this would be another full restore turn, but it's not. Phoebe actually lets us bring down her best Pokemon on the next turn with another Aerial Ace. Huh. Anyway, first Bayonet is out, and these things are not as tanky as Dusclops. Fly hits harder, and Spite doesn't scare me too much despite losing extra power points this whole battle thanks to the Dusclops pressure ability. Aerial Ace knocks out Bayonet, and Sableye follows. Two Aerial Aces knock this guy out, but we do take a critical hit Feint attack in the process. Still in the yellow with the second Bayonet out, so we need to be careful. Oh, no we don't. Our starting Fly lands as a critical hit one shot. Well, that's a little anticlimactic, but I'm glad Phoebe's terror is over. Now, don't get me wrong, I know we're not coasting through the rest of the Elite Four. The biggest challenge on paper is now right before us. Glacia, aka the Ice-type Master in Hoenn, aka Hoenn Lorelei. Now, I know some of you are thinking that we shouldn't be that scared since we excel in special defense, but having a type disadvantage is still very much a thing, and considering we do not excel when it comes to our attack stats, and part of Glacia's team is more hefty on the defensive side, we are in trouble if we can't pull off quick takedowns. And the footage supports my worries. Blizzard is destroying us, and it is kind of nice that we make it halfway through this team, but that's a weak silver lining since we go down so quickly from that move. I did waste some time using Fly since it's not the best move to use here, but I was naive thinking it would help deplete our opponent's Blizzard power points. But it only takes two of those attacks to end our run. That strategy was a big waste of time. Frustrated, and due to the fact that it was getting late, I went ahead and got Cadbury to level 85 for a rematch. Things are improving. Hey, we are now facing Walrein, but that guy can wreck us easily, so again, that's a real thin silver lining here. So again, we need more level ups. Now we are at level 90, and we are actually doing worse than what we did at level 85. That has to be a fluke. Let's try this again. So, not to have another anticlimactic wrap-up beating an Elite Four member, but I kind of noticed a trend that gave me an idea in that previous loss. On this attempt that you are watching, we just spam Secret Power for the whole battle. That's it. That's all we do. We take every hit that comes our way and don't try to dodge anything with Fly. Secret Power is dealing solid damage. It causes a couple of paralyses. It causes a couple of paralyzes, and we pull away with the damage output pretty efficiently throughout the whole battle. I wish I noticed this trend earlier because we could have potentially won the battle a few levels earlier. Now, it shouldn't be a surprise, and I don't care if this fight is boring, but Drake is not worth talking about. It can be summarized in 2 words: Ice Beam. I mean, his biggest threats are 4 times weak to ice moves, and I didn't even heal up before jumping into this fight. We heal up plenty and get the win quickly. I'm so glad we got a first try win in the Elite Four, and it's funny that it came from the last member. But this is obviously the calm before the storm, because you would have every right to call me an idiot if I said Steven would be easy to beat. I'm feeling doubtful that we can win this fight where we are currently at, and that is at level 91. Okay, well the first battle had Skarmory open with Toxic. You might call me a quitter, but I'm a realist in this situation. We're not winning here, so I'm surrendering this attempt. Also, quick update, before we started this battle I used some PP ups to raise our Ice Beam power points. This move is going to be heavily needed, and only having 10 of these will not cut it. On the second attempt, we don't have to worry about Toxic, which is a much better start. What helped a lot here when it came to Skarmory is the first Ice Beam freezing Skarmory right out of the gate. Ice Beam is the strongest move to use here, but it's not strong enough to finish Skarmory. So Steven uses a Force Store, which is a little aggravating, but in actuality, I am okay with Steven burning through items early here. Bummer it removes the freeze though. Still sticking with Ice Beam here, but we do take a break by using Fly, so our next Ice Beam will lead to a successful knockout, if it doesn't miss. Skarmory stupidly sets up spikes, and Steel Wing doesn't hurt too much. We get lucky with Ice Beam landing as a critical hit, and we can move on to Claydol. Ice Beam deals more damage in this matchup. Ancient Power is both threatening, yet not too scary. The damage will add up, but the accumulative stat boost is more concerning if it occurs. This doesn't happen here, and we continue on to Steven's next Pokemon, Cordilli. Ice Beam deals a one-shot here. It's a great move in this matchup, but I think the critical hit was needed for the one-shot. Armaldo handles Ice Beam as well as Skarmory, so I switch over to Secret Power. Our opponent is now in yellow health and paralyzed. Nice. But Armaldo quickly gets us to red health with Ancient Power, and of course this guy gets the accumulative stat boost. I feel like he always does. I tried Fly, but that was stupid given the type matchup. Yeah, we lose on the next turn. I gave this battle a couple more attempts at level 91, and we were handed the L by Armaldo every time. Well, let's level up to 95. Ice Beam comes really close to a 2-shot on Skarmory. I'm sure this is within damage range where it could be a 2-shot. Force Store, and we try Secret Power to ensure a couple of Ice Beams will actually cause a feint. We switch back to Ice Beam. Oh, Steven is withdrawing Skarmory for Aggron. Okay, this is the second most threatening member of Steven's team. Ice Beam might be resisted, but it's the best move we have. But the real reason I'm scared of Aggron is because it has Thunder. But the move can miss, and I'm so thankful for that. We do get a freeze here, and I was trying to save Ice Beam power points, but Secret Power is not the way to go to bring Aggron down. So we kind of waste an Ice Beam here for the feint. Okay, maybe we can get the win since Aggron is gone and we are still well in the green. Claydol still needs multiple Ice Beams to go down. Cordilli goes down from an Ice Beam and an Aerial Ace. 2 Flies take out Armaldo. Guys, we are making great progress in this fight. Wait, what was that? Armaldo's still standing? Stupid single pixel, I can't even see it. Yep, I expected the full restore. Aerial Ace does deal solid damage and Fly does too. But Armaldo is still standing somehow. And we are not after getting a taste of our own medicine with Aerial Ace. I give this battle at level 95 a couple more attempts and we still lost. Armaldo went down, but Aggron was actually able to get Thunder to strike, so yeah. I really want Cadbury to beat this challenge under a level 100, so I leveled her up to level 98. And obviously things were a little better, but not by much. Which means we are still seeing losses. One big takeaway at this point though is we finally got to see Metagross. But by this point we were in red health, ran out of power points for Ice Beam, and Secret Power does embarrassingly bad damage, so yeah, we didn't get to experiment much with this interaction. I can't take it anymore. I can no longer be in denial about the severity of our situation. We have to be at level 100 at a bare minimum. We might not even win at that level, but we are not going to win below 100. But as some of you probably thought, we are only moving up 2 levels, so there really isn't much room for improvement when it comes to our stats. So I'm going to cut to the chase and tell y'all that the max level was not enough. We need help. Well, I wasn't going to use this move, but desperate times call for desperate measures. I didn't even have the TM, so we had to backtrack to Fall Arbor Town to get it. Well, actually, we had to backtrack to where we first fought Archie to get the meteorite piece so we could get the TM for return. Now, for those of you who don't know, return is a normal type attack that gets stronger the higher the friendship level the Pokemon has with the trainer. I basically restarted from the last save file for the majority of the losses we suffered in this game, so Cadbury has max friendship with us. And with that fact, and the fact that we are part normal, this move is further powered due to it being stabbed. What I am trying to say is that this is the strongest move we have in the game. And so this is us giving this battle with Steven all we got. And it's not enough. What? I don't know. Well, actually I do know. We are going against fully evolved rock and steel types with amazing physical defense stats. One of them is a pseudo-legendary, so yeah, it might seem like I'm just speeding through the battle with Steven, the final largest and most climactic battle of the game, but that's because I gave this battle many attempts here with multiple tweaks and strategies that all failed. And this script is long enough. So I'm going to just go ahead and state the fact that this challenge is a loss with an asterisk. Yes, trust me, I am sad and I'm feeling really defeated admitting that, but I also will take anything at the moment to get that dopamine. So I will gladly take the half win of going back in the save file, giving Cadbury one more rare candy so she can evolve into Altaria. With this change, we are now part dragon and flying, like I've said 100 times. And that type combo would have been really useful in earlier battles, but not so much here. Well, actually, Acheron's Thunder is neutral now, so that's nice. Stat-wise though, everything shot up, but the trends we have had the whole time are still holding true. But now, a special defense of 272 is amazing, and I would gladly take the special attack at 159, considering that's basically a 60-point jump from what Cadbury had as a Swablu. Surely this battle's a wrap, right? Well, we actually lost the first attempt. I know, I was banging my head on the desk too. Why did I put myself through these challenges? Basically, Metagross got several attack boosts from Meteor Mash, and they really stacked up. Now, we probably could have made better offensive choices to knock Metagross out sooner. Let's try this again. Skarmory isn't a one-shot with Ice Beam, but again, Steven has to use a full restore here, so I am not mad. Second Ice Beam takes him into the red, and Return takes out Steven's first Pokemon. Claydol is a one-shot with Ice Beam, same for Credilli. Armada goes to red health from Fly, we take an Ancient Power, and Steven burns the second full restore. We use Return to tack on some extra damage, and now Fly brings the knockout. Aggron still gets the Ice Beam treatment, it takes it to half health, and he has a new response for us since we aren't extra susceptible to Thunder. Yeah, now Dragon Claws is our biggest weakness. Still doesn't hurt a whole lot though. We repeat our moves the following turn, and there goes the third full restore. Return is weak, but again, it does bring a little extra damage, which allows our next two Ice Beams to move on to Metagross. No more playing games, we got this. Ice Beam, critical hit. I told you we are not messing around. Meteor Mash does take us close to half health, and the attack boost is back. Oh, and Metagross is back to green health from a Citrus Berry. Ice Beam essentially erases that heal up, and freezes. I give Return a chance to deal the finishing blow, but it falls short, which is annoying since Steven still has that fourth full restore to use for this moment. But I am very, very thankful the next Return deals a critical hit. Would have loved that on the previous turn, but we need to focus on the battle at hand. Back to Ice Beam, back to Metagross being in the red. Meteor Mash is scary by this point, but we are in the yellow. And with Steven officially out of full restores, we deal the last Ice Beam we need to put away this challenge. This challenge should not have been this hard. Or maybe it really should have, but I went into this challenge with the wrong mindset. I did admit earlier in the video that I originally thought Swablu was part dragon flying, like its evolution, but when I realized that it was normal flying, I figured that since Tailo exists in this generation, Swablu would not be our standard normal flying type that exists in the early game of every generation. And sure, it might have had a little more variety than Talo, but barely. And with the stats being what they are, we were just in for a rough time most of the way through. I wasn't completely miserable doing this challenge, but it wasn't as much fun as I thought it was going to be. It was rewarding though. It would have been more rewarding if we beat the game with just Swablu, but even with the win over Steven, I felt some satisfaction just knowing I did get to the credits. With this video wrapping up, I'm going to take a slight break by taking a slightly easier challenge. I hope. We are sticking with Generation 3, but this time we will be using an actual dragon type. I checked. We are going to try to beat Fire Red with a Bagon. I was originally going to do my first Generation 4 challenge, but no. Now, don't get me wrong, you will see that video and other videos like that later this year, but I need a vacation, and I am taking one in about a week from my actual job. And I still want to work on something on the side while I'm on vacation. So we're just going to, hopefully, enjoy a nice, less stressful Pokemon challenge. In the meantime, feel free to check out some of my other challenges. Don't forget to like and subscribe for updates, and leave comments about what you enjoyed, what challenges you'd like to see in the future, and any suggestions for improving these videos. I always appreciate creative input. Thanks for watching everyone, and until next time, Geronimo.